Hello, everyone. Jacob is here once again, and welcome to another episode of Jacob's Ladder. The top 3 just incredibly strange and shocking things that are going down as we are biding our time for the days to come. The story just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. Give me a little audio check. Let me know that you hear me okay. Let's check out that thumbnail. We got the Trumpster there in the corner showing his little 17. A lot of crazy things going on in the news. Before we even get into all of the documents that have been revealed, now like a third location, 3. So many strange things. Almost as strange as this. The fact that for the last couple of days we've been talking about the gas stove ban. Yeah, that's like a thing, believe it or not. It's quite strange, but it is what it is. You know, what are you going to do? I got a gas stove. I kind of love it. But, you know, Mark Ruffalo, he doesn't. He's got a little problem with it. He's like, hey, induction stoves are the best. Look at me making my pot of gruel. That's probably what he's making there. He's the Hulk. He makes gruel, right? This guy, I got to tell you something. He makes me not want to watch Marvel movies anymore because he's just so just too political. Turns out that it's not going to be a thing. You don't got to worry. Your gas stoves are in check. That's strange. It's a little weird, almost as weird as, hey, did you know that the light, he just got married again. That's good because a lot of people were concerned that he may be, he was gone. So everybody was very concerned about him, and as well they should be because of all the just insane things that he was saying. You know, he got married again. The girl that he got married to, Bianca, censor I think it's pretty interesting. I censor. Backwards. Well, not really backwards, but they call her a, Kim Kardashian look-alike. But they had like a private ceremony. TMZ covered it. She used to work for his, Yeezy brand. Now she has like blonde hair. Just strange. Almost as strange as the War Angel costume worn at the Miss Universe. Did you know that Miss Universe, Donald Trump sold it to the first businesswoman? Look that up because I was a little shocked and I didn't know anything about this, but it's a this very this billionaire from Thailand. It's an interesting country, strange. So we got so much weird stuff to talk about, right? But the thing that really is on the tips of everybody's tongues, it's the stuff that's going down with with Biden. Can we say we've been biding our time? But he may be in trouble now. He may be in trouble now. It looks like it's like a lot of stuff that's coming together. A lot of stuff that's coming together all at once. It's almost like it was predestined. Almost like if you've been on the channel for a while, and if you're new, by the way, welcome. I'm Jacob. I would like you to hit the like button for me if you like the video. You don't got to do it now, but if you've been watching for a long time, it actually helps more people get here. So hit that like button because, the YouTube programs, they're against some of the things that are shared here. So I don't get a lot of help. The only reason why this channel grows and it's, been basically kind of just stagnant for a while is because of you. So your help, hitting the like button, it helps. Comments, big deal. Big deal to help the channel out. I'm very appreciative for it. But, he's got an issue at the border, right? Like this is now we talk about God, and we've recently talked about the number 3, 33. I actually put a post out about how God speaks in threes and 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, the news right now is the 3 strikes. This is what you see. You see right off the bat, and it's a big thing. This is a big issue at the border right now. It's very terrible. I don't think people realize incredibly how terrible it is. Karl Rove, just on Fox and Friends, was saying that he was gobsmacked. Gobsmacked, by the way. That actually comes from God smacked, like God smacks you, corrects you. And God's doing some correction today, in the land today. This is the year, I said it, I did a 2023 kind of like not a prediction video, but a video where I said this, you would see what was coming, and it seems to be here. So, wow, Prophet Bear, you must be doing something great in your life. Prophet Bear is a big supporter of the channel, and I'm over there in the live chat, and I see that you just gave me quite a wonderful live chat, 300. Wow, that is super fantastic. Listen, we don't have that many people here right now because I know I'm doing midday shows, but if you could hit that like, it would help people to get on over here. Yes, because, the God smack is coming on down. And we need to make sure that people are aware that the things that are happening, like, on the border, this is a big issue. This is one of the top issues right now. And a lot of people really aren't covering it the way they should. Trafficking is a big deal. This is the Center for Immigration Studies. And, we just had on Wednesday, we had the National Trafficking Day. I got to be careful, how I say things, to draw the attention to the terrible thing that's going on. Now we see right now in the land, it seems like a lot is being done. It seems like a lot of things are being uncovered, stuff with Twitter and everything else. The truth is coming out there. You have a lot of people on Twitter. Eliza Blue's one of them. She's, I guess, a friend of the channel, and she does a lot of work with this, and so you see it more and more. But the question is more and more really being done? Because we hear stories of stuff that's still going down, and the border is not zipped up. Not zipped up at all. The border policies, literally, that Biden brought to the table, they've contributed, a lot of people say this, to the trafficking that we see today. He just had a meeting. He was just in Mexico. He was just there, and they ran out of time. So they talked about everything. Can you believe this? The biggest issue facing our country right now with the border, this is the big thing. I guess the president said something like, "You're the only president that didn't build the wall, thank you," or something like that. It was weird. But the only thing they didn't talk about is the illegal immigration, which, what are we going to do? God's going to work all this stuff out. I think we're going to probably come to a day where we find that there aren't going to be many borders. The organizations, all the people that are in charge, all the sinister powers that be behind the scenes, they're working on like a one world thing. It's in the works. That little reset that is supposed to be great is going down, but God is doing things too. See, when we see crazy stuff happening in the world, we know that there is something also going on below. That if you dig a little bit deeper, you're going to find. And if you find, you'll be just amazed, shocked at first. Like you're going to be shocked when you start hearing about the stuff with Biden. And the best part is that if you've been on the show, that before the inauguration, the day of the election, this was something I said was going to happen. Just by looking at the things. I don't have a crystal ball, but by looking at the things that are going on in the world, Jesus said you can look at the sky, you can look at the signs, and you know what the weather's going to be like, but you don't. Does anybody ever look at the world like just sit back? This is what I do. I'm a speculator. This is what a lot of you do. That's why you send me all this great information. So this is a big issue. This is one of his top issues. But this isn't even the beginning of how crazy and terrible it's about to get. This third set of classified documents that were just discovered is an issue. That today's Friday the 13th, right? Okay, so we're at Friday the 13th, and you start to think something spooky is going to go down. Something spooky and interesting is going to happen, and we see spooky and interesting things happening. And I think more and more are going to start to really fester to the surface as well. But the Biden team, oh, and by the way, when you find out the interesting connections that I made here, whoo, it's just, it's really going to encourage you. So this is the third classified document discovery. The finding came at Biden's personal residence in Delaware. And so this is following two classified batches. Now, this is interesting because we talk about the three, right? The three. And today, when I was at the gym, I wrote, Friday the 13th, what will it be? Not one scandal, but three. A blackout, a whistleblowing shout out, and many told to flee. A flood of mud trying to project misery. But the truth from a soothsaying servant, some will see. You are free, my friends. God is speaking. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in threes. I know I sound like Dr. Seuss, but all of this is actually exciting to me. It's exciting to me that if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see the laptop is the breadcrumb trail. What are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? That the breadcrumb trail. Breadcrumbs, baby. On Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, I'm not telling you to get on Twitter. I'm not saying that that's the best place for it, but I can't share things on Facebook like my website, which has, I'm going to share my website in a little while. It has wonderful essays, biblical essays, and poetry and encouragement. Nothing on there should be censored. There's no reason for it to be that way. But yet Facebook has a problem, I guess, allowing my website there. So, and Facebook really, I don't have much of a great reach there. But if you're on Facebook, I do have a page. I just don't use my personal page anymore. All the links are in the description of the video. But on Twitter, I share a lot more. So if you have a Twitter, will you follow me so that I can get you involved in the process, because I like to actually share some of your tweets too. If you're new, I do this quite often. I don't just say somebody sent me. I try and make a point of telling the world who it was that brought me to this little discovery. I just think that it's fun. I feel like we're all doing this together. Now, so Biden said, I don't know if you saw the interview. It was very interesting, where Ducey was like saying, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? What was he thinking? He was probably thinking, I better get these into my house so that other people don't see them, or something like that. I'm just going to peruse them on the side. I don't know the man's heart. I don't know why he had all this stuff at the house, but you're going to find that it's attached to a lot of stuff, and it's attached to that laptop too. And here's the weird thing. It was locked in a Corvette in the garage. That's the news, right? But Hunter was living there. And this was like during his bad phase, like when he was not doing well, where he was like kicked out of the Hotel Marmont. What is that, the place where all the people go to do drugs and everything else? And that's where in his memoir, he said that he learned to cook crack or something. He had the keys to get into the garage. He lived there. So, they weren't exactly locked down. Donald Trump, he had a problem with this. He pointed this out. He talked quite a bit about how it was very different, Mar-a-Lago compared to here. He's also the president, and it's a very different story that's going on with all this. But nonetheless, the third batch, breadcrumbs, whether or not the breadcrumbs, you got to tell me, but I feel like the breadcrumbs are rich. And I feel like all of this stuff is leading somewhere. Like I said 2023. I said that this is going to be the year where I think a lot of people are going to be brought to correction. Or I don't know about correction, but at least they're going to give the people They're going to give the people what they want. We're going to learn so much this year. It's going to be overwhelming. Get ready, right? Because this is there's this eclipse, 7-year eclipse. This sounds a little woo-woo for some of you. You probably thought this was like just a political show. I'm not a political guy. I like to believe that there's more to life than the things that are in front of us. I'm a man of great faith. And you'll find that all the stuff that's literally happening, there's like a spiritual message that's beneath it. And the spiritual message that's beneath it, the breadcrumbs that we've all been following, are leading to freedom. They're leading to us being set free from this system. Right now, we're kind of like in the wilderness where we're like kind of done with the system, but we're still not really there. We're grumbling, we're complaining. And you're going to see that this also happened back in the day with Israel when they fled Egypt. But let's just move on to what Trump said about this in the documents, which is really just mind-blowing to me. Okay, let's pull this up before I go anywhere. Let me make sure that everybody's still here. Hey, make sure and hit the like button, because we got to get some more people here so that the broadcast is so that it's successful. We need things to be successful here. We don't want. I mean, what's the point of doing this if nobody sees these things, right? Okay, so former President Donald Trump discusses these documents with Mark Levin, and I don't know if you've seen, the interview. I think it's going to air soon, but some of the things that he said, I really think that we need to discuss. Okay, so here he's talking right off the bat about. He said we had a very well guarded situation, whereas you look at where these findings, these documents in the office, no security, or in a garage with absolutely no security in a house that wasn't even owned by Biden. It was owned by Hunter. He wanted to point that out. I think you're going to find a lot more, because in Delaware, I understand they had a tremendous stash of documents. So Trump's kind of like telling us, he's like, hey, there's more coming. He also referenced the connections to University of Pennsylvania, saying that China paid the university $55 million, of which President Biden, by China, was getting $1 million. This is what Trump said. Now, I haven't fact checked all this because this just kind of came out. But if you think about that for a second, that's a lot of money coming from China for a think tank at a university, if you can believe that. So they paid Biden $1 million a year out of the money that China gave. Now, if China wants to see these documents, I'm sure they would just say, come on, let me show you. $1 million a year is a lot of money. So Trump's saying, of course, that, Biden is probably, a corrupted person who would sell secrets out and wouldn't think twice. But it's not just that. It's not just this, because, he's in, by the way, he's also in a little bit of a hot water, supposedly, over his tax documents, right? But Trump said Biden took the documents as a vice president. He didn't have the right to do this. And what he did is it's a very serious problem, but it's not a problem for me. I'm allowed to do that. This is what is being discussed. Now you got to think about this, right? Think about this. This is also connected to, the war angel for Miss Universe, that country, connected to that, connected to their organizations and their business dealings, like Burisma and all of this. There's some things that are in these documents that may not be that great. And then you marry that with the fact that this laptop, there's an investigation going into this laptop file. This laptop, which, by the way, I've been talking about for a long time, because I had a dream in 2015 about like everything that took place. I didn't understand it at the time, but I knew it was important, so I documented it. If you're new, I've been sharing this over the last couple of years, and I'll show you a little bit in a moment. But let's get back to what's going on right now. Garland, that's the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, he announced a special counsel to examine Biden's handling of these documents, one of the first questions on the minds of many Democrats was whether the guy that he appointed is going to be fair and impartial. You see, this is a problem. This is a problem because Robert Herr, who is the attorney, he was appointed by Trump. So some people are saying, oh, maybe he won't be that fair and everything else, but he's of course he's going to do the best job that he can. But Garland he's appointed the special counsel for a reason, because things need to be set right. You had McCarthy, who was elected on the 7th, 1/7/17, at 12:34 a.m. is when the votes were casted. That was that famous picture that went around. He took to the microphone, I think it was yesterday, and he told everybody about how, it was like the whole world was in an uproar about, they raided Mar-a-Lago, they broke in, they haven't done nothing really to Biden. He was getting, a lot of people were very angry. We want justice. Look at what you did to, and he was a president, so it was okay for him to do it. This guy's a vice president, and he's got documents. And what if the documents are connected to business dealings? What if the documents are things that he didn't want the next incoming president to see? Just so happens to keep him in the house of somebody who has a big drug problem and a big prostitution problem. Lot of problems, more than that. And I think we're going to learn a lot more than that. You've probably seen some of the pictures. It's horrendous. It really is. It really is scary. But this new counsel, special counsel, is going to be, I think, a game changer, especially because of his name. In a second, I'm going to explain what that means. But look, he's not the only one that's having an issue. Right now, the Trump organization actually was sentenced. So they were found guilty. Now, Trump personally wasn't, not Donald Trump, but his organization sentenced to the maximum fine following this tax fraud conviction. Now, ironically, for 17 charges, which I find interesting. Oh, by the way, right above me, that was a video that I did almost exactly 5 years ago today. I think it was like 5 years ago in 1 month. What aren't they telling us, huh? What aren't they telling us? Well, this special, attorney, I'm sure is going to get to the bottom of it, at least when it comes to Biden, which may or may not be something that a lot of people want to hear, and may or may not be something that actually gets him to leave office. But it is the tip of the iceberg. Now, Claudia Tenney, I showed you a picture of her earlier. She's making the rounds right now. She was the one that says that this is the breadcrumb trail, right? This is a big deal. Let me read what she wrote. Well, look, I give her credit because she's talking about the press secretary, because they're pressing the press secretary. And she's like, well, he wasn't really aware that they were there. It was a surprise to him. I guess, maybe they can cry that someone planted him or something else. There were like little Twitter tweets going around saying, like Kamala planted him or something so she could be president. These are jokes, obviously. But what she said was, to be the press secretary and to have to lie. She called her out. She says, she's just lying. Like, how hard must it be? You got to lie on behalf of somebody who's clearly doing things that, very suspect, right? And I had put something out where I had said, if someone does something illegal, they should be held accountable and they should be taken from their position of power and authority. We don't see that often happening. We don't see that really happening. What we do see is people that we know are corrupt stepping down and then trying to get out of the crossfire. Like the maker of sickles. Starts with an F, ends with an ouchie. But his day's coming too, I have a feeling. And I feel like I said, this I said this month, I said the beginning of this month was going to be like firecrackers. It was going to be huge. And this is huge. This is like earth-shattering stuff that's going on. So he said the biggest lie in modern politics is quite an extraordinary obligation and job. I mean, what are you going to say? He may not even know where they are, but look, we know there's more coming out of Joe Biden. The laptop revealed so much that that's just the beginning. That's just as I say, the tip of the iceberg. It's the breadcrumb trail. Isn't that funny? We talk about the breadcrumbs, right? The breadcrumbs having to do with this laptop and other things for so long. And they're saying the laptop is the breadcrumb trail. That, my friends, makes me feel like, okay, I'm kind of a meatball, you know? I'm kind of sitting here, I kind of say things sometimes, but yet it keeps happening. So far, so good. Laptop revealed so much that is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg. It's the breadcrumb trail to what we can see. Where in the documents we don't know about what around the world, with China, with Ukraine, Burisma, all of these others. This is just the beginning, and we need to investigate. We need to investigate. This is what she says. This is what she says. We need to and investigate. They are. This is what they're doing. But not just with the documents alone. You know, it's also the laptop. This is the thing. Look, the House Oversight Committee, right over there. See that over there? That's Janet Yellen. You know her? Yellen? Okay. House Oversight. The chairman is seeking all of the Biden financial transactional data. But yet they're not like sending it over, right? Now, here's the thing. Guess what Congress this all was? 117. Something we've talked about. During the 117th Congress, the Department of Treasury refused our requests to provide information about the Biden family, including suspicious activity generated by banks that were flagged. So the banks flagged them as this is probably not great. Financial activities of Robert Hunter Biden, that's his brother, James Biden, Biden family associates, and their companies. Big things happening. Big things happening. This is seems to me, you tell me in the comment section, not the live chat later, you tell me if this is bigger than Watergate. I think it is. I think it is. I think that this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. And if you don't see that all this stuff is happening, and you don't feel like that maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel, even though this is gonna, like I'm telling you, it's gonna get very, very strange and scary, I think, over the next year or two. So you might as well you might as well enjoy it. You might as well try to enjoy it. You can enjoy it by hitting that like button. So let's take a look. Let's do a little, let's go down the old YouTube history that I have. Now, these are just some videos that I've shared. Now, if you look at the bottom two videos, Nebuchadnezzar's end times dream fulfilled at the inauguration. So this was almost exactly 2 years ago, okay? Because the video I did right before that, watch this before the inauguration and see what God has done. And if you notice in the thumbnail, it says, will the elect be deceived? And of course, next to it, you got, that guy who looked like the Baphomet from January 6th. And of course, you know that we had the version that just went down over there in Brazil. So all of these things that are coming together, they're coming together in a big way, almost exactly as they were laid out. But here's the weird thing. In that bottom video that I shared, like I said, almost 2 years ago exactly, this was before I knew that laptop had anything to do with Hunter. I had no idea. All right? Because I had this strange dream. In 2015, it literally changed my life because I lost a lot of friends. I'm somebody who takes the scriptures and I like to express them in a way probably people haven't heard, a way that I believe like God revealed them to me to be true. Little things. Little things like names having meaning, like Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. Joseph means God is added. Mary means man's rebellion. Isn't it interesting that Christ is birthed out of man's rebellion? There's Martha, there's Miriam, there's Mary. You ever wonder why? Because it's a picture of rebellion against God. God is added, Joseph, to man's rebellion. Yahshua, salvation of Nazareth, and separated them from the world. There are these things that, the scriptures, they just opened up to me. And so I started sharing. I started writing all these essays and everything else. But around 2015, I started thinking, oh my goodness, these things that I say are only spiritual, they're going to literally play out in the world too. So I started paying a little more attention to dreams. A third of our lives, we're asleep. A third of the scriptures have to do with dreams and visions. Dreams. I had a dream last night of Trump in 17. I think I put a tweet out about him like being victorious on the 17th of January or something. So we're going to look out for January 17. I don't know why 117. I just feel like that may be a thing. But I did this show and I was talking about that dream that I had a while ago. And ironically, you'll see a picture of the Nebuchadnezzar statue that is being, struck down, like that Trump was going to lose everything. And that's what the video was about. And ironically, in that essay that I had written, I used that symbolism. That laptop that is all shot up there, that's actually a real laptop from somebody who was in Israel named Lily Sussman. In the dream I had, it was this laptop. I'll explain it in a second, but it was bright red. They opened it up and someone said, it's a bong, and I said, a bong? It looks like a B-O-M-B. It doesn't look like a bong. A bong is for people that are high all the time. And that's why, ironically, after that, I started to put two and two together that perhaps this laptop that was the bong that was going to blow everything up was indeed Hunter's. So you see, I started to share. About a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, God has spoken. A corrupt ruler will be replaced. Mini tekel uparshin. That's from the book of Daniel. You can go back and watch all these videos. And then, of course, we are in. Bombshell news, another video comes true. Trojan horse discovered. And you see Michael Lindell, the pillow guy, holding the laptop again. And that was around the time when they started to talk about the laptop. So I find it strange that the breadcrumbs are leading here and that they're going to be breadcrumbs that are going to lead to the rest of the iceberg. Corruption needs to be revealed. We've been really taken advantage of for far too long. Let me just show you that essay really quick. We got like 1,200 people watching. Thank you so much for helping out by hitting the old like button. So this was this is my website, by the way. Oh, hey, while you're here, let me show you something. Just so you see, I'm not making up stories about things. That's my old email address. Let's see if it lets me on. And I'll just, oh gosh, all of this stuff. All right, we won't do that. Let's just go to Google. You could try it. You could type in jacobisrael.com on Facebook and see if it will allow it. It won't. Let's just type in my name for a second. And let's see how easy it is to find me. Not that easy. We got to go through pages and pages and pages to find me. Now, I want to point this out because if I go to any other search engine, I'll just go to Bing, for example, you will find me no problem. You see what I mean? Now, let's try Jacob Israel on YouTube. Okay? Let's see if it'll just lead me to my YouTube page. Oh, look at this. Right? None of these are actually mine. These are all These are all like people sharing videos, and it's strange to me. And my website you could possibly find. You know, like if you type in Jacob Israel The Calling, this is how you're going to get the version right there that is available, which is great because Amazon's not censoring it, right? But you put in my website and you find that as well, which is right here. That is the latest essay that I write, but you got to jump through hoops. But to find me, like easily, or like, you know, even to find a video that, you know, like if I looked at a video that I did recently and I typed it in, you won't be able to find a video. It's just really not cool. But yet, on any other, like if I even do yahoo.com, I come right up. And this is a bummer to me. Now, this has been happening for a long time. That's my YouTube channel right there. You can tell because that's my old email address. Just kind of a bummer. But it is what it is. That's why I ask all of you to help me by really just hitting the like. You know, and especially by sharing. It's huge. And it's free, right? All right, so I wrote this in 2015. In the dream, there was a domed building. You've probably seen this a bunch of times, so I'll go quick. I knew that it was a holy site. There were thousands of people gathering around. I found myself thinking of this, Nebuchadnezzar's dream that Daniel interpreted. Now, ironically, that was what I used in that thumbnail, that actual picture. Because the whole video was about Nebuchadnezzar, where, you know, he had his kingdom, everything was going great, and then all of a sudden in an instant, because he made it all about him, I'm so great, I did this, he forgot about God. God says, I'm going to rip your kingdom away in an instant. You know, Daniel had to tell him, and Daniel was like, yeah, I kind of like you, dude. I wish you'd get your act together. But they left a stump in the actual earth so that one day that kingdom could possibly come back. So the idol stood over, and here's where I get to the laptop. So there was like a lot of people. They were waiting for this presentation. They were going to see Harry Potter 3. It all has to do with witchcraft and everything else. And really the more you read this, the more you find this bears striking resemblance to what happened on January 6th, for sure. I was told that I did not see the statue was called Laish, which meant lion. We know anybody who's called a lion right now? Donald Trump. Next, I realized I didn't have my wallet. At that point, the gates came down. Everyone started running around chaotically. Remember the gates coming down? At the dome building? As I walked away, I found a reader of mine who was somebody carrying a briefcase, looked very much like a bright red bomb. I was told by the man it was a bong to get high with. The new Sussman, which is ironic because Hillary Clinton's Sussman. This is where I get that Sussman from. But that's the laptop. That's the laptop that I've been sharing in all of these videos for a while. And that laptop that's all shot up like they're trying to destroy it, it's been revealed. Ironically, the guy who blew the whistle on this thing, he always wears that hat. He looks like he's Scottish or something. Trump's Scottish. Just saying. So, if you look at the bottom, here you are years later from 2015 to, I don't know, it was 2020, 2021 or so, at the inauguration. Everything that I was talking about literally played out with Trump. And everything that I felt would come true soon is starting to come true. It seems that way, at least. Now, this is interesting. This is interesting to me because the man that's actually investigating, the special counsel who's going over these documents, Robert Herr, this guy, okay, he is very fascinating to me. All of this stuff is very fascinating to me. Very fascinating. You know why? Well, let's just take a look at the guy's name, Okay? Herr. If you look closely, if you just take a look, right there underneath his picture, I actually put the definition of his name in Hebrew. It means brilliant, noble, liberty, freedom, hollowed out, hole, filthy prison, cavern. Could mean a couple of things. But Herr was actually the man that was next to Aaron who held up Moses' arms. Moses' arms, because the Amalekites were going to attack them. They'd been set free from Israel. They were wandering in the wilderness. They started grumbling and complaining. Remember my last show where I was talking about grumbling and complaining? Because that's what those words meant. 1, 2, 3, 4 in Strong's in Greek means to murmur, complain. 1, 2, 3, 4 in Hebrew means the Strong's number. It means to cleave, to separate from our complaint. Well, people were complaining. And Moses had to talk to God to be like, God, help me. What are we doing here? So it's interesting. The man that's going to help hold up this investigation is named after the man who holds up the arms of Aaron. And it seems like this is going to be something that's going to be earth-shattering. Robert Herr, the former U.S. attorney, he was appointed by President Trump. He was announced on Thursday. 50-year-old Herr would lead the investigation after a White House official revealed Biden's lawyers found documents with classified markings in the garage of his Delaware home. Now, I need to ask all of you a question. Does Delaware mean anything to you when it comes to crossing it? Does that mean anything to you? For some reason, I said Delaware and I saw that picture of Washington crossing. Was it crossing the Delaware? I haven't taken a history class in a while. But I find it interesting if that was the case. So you got to tell me in the comment section in the live chat. I'll check it out later, but you got to let me know, because how crazy would that be, right? Because they were sharing the Elon shared the picture of the Durham boat going across Delaware. It's just strange. And Trump has a feeling that there is going to be just boatloads more. Breadcrumbs, all of this stuff. It's exciting to me. Top 3 things. All of these things, they're coming together. And it's about time that the corrupt are held to account. Whether they're literally going to be held to account or not, I can't tell you, but I can tell you that this guy, Robert Herr, he says he's going to do a good job. And I kind of feel like we may actually see something. You know why? Because I think the people are sick of watching corrupt politicians and corrupt, companies. I think everybody's tired of being taken advantage of. And I think that they need to give, like, even if it's just a big psyop, I think they need to give. I think some heads need to roll. And I think that that's what's going to happen. So let me just read this to you, because this is a reminder not to complain. Okay? Like, God's got us, even in the wilderness, no matter what. Everybody wanted to go back to the flesh pots. They wanted to go back to the way things were. Not necessarily the best thing. So this is from Exodus chapter, ironically, 17. This is where we get the name Herr from. Okay? The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of sin. Think about that for a second. The desert of sin. It's the wilderness. Sin is error, not knowing any better. It's to miss the mark. That's what it literally means. Traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded, they camped at Rephidim. Now, Rephidim is a place of waiting. We're all right now in waiting. Now, I was going to show you all of the the meanings of these words, I know them. I'm going to tell them to you. You could look them up later. But last time I tried showing you and using that website that I use to translate things, it like crashed the system. So I'm not going to do that today. But that's what it means. It means place of waiting. And we're all right now in a place of waiting. We're on hold. We've kind of been, I know it doesn't seem like we've been set free, because we're still doing everything the same way, but we have been. We've been given the opportunity to leave. People left their jobs. They said, I'm not going to do it. They had the power and the strength to leave the system. But not everybody believes they could still do that. Not everybody believes that they're free. That's the truth. The truth sets you free. The truth is, I shared this in my last video where I talked about Isaiah 52, where the people didn't know they were sold for like nothing, but they're free. God sets us free, but you got to believe it. You got to know it. My buddy Lance, theologian, he had a big church and everything else. He has all these great essays. I share his essays now once in a while. He texted me, and I actually shared that. What's the truth? The truth is you're free in Christ. You're free. You don't believe it because we've been a slave. We came in, we were given a number. Cattle, sheep, you got to do what we tell you. We got to do. No, you're free. God has given you permission to do whatever you want now, to leave the system. You can leave the system or stay. You're free to do as you will. That's an interesting concept to believe that. But the problem is, they were free, these guys over here, and they were complaining and murmuring because they didn't have, the leeks and the onions. They didn't have all the good food that they had in Egypt. Eggs got too expensive, inflation made things very difficult. So they're wandering around and they're in Rephidim. They're in this place of waiting. And there was no water. Now, water is symbolic, by the way. We're washed in the water of the Word of God. It's a doctrine. It's a teaching. When you're baptized, the word baptism, baptizo, means to be immersed. It's every time that you come here to watch a show, and if I'm sharing something that is, from the Spirit of God or from the Kingdom of God or even from the Scriptures and it's inspired, you're literally being baptized. You're baptized, you're washed in the Word of God. Your Word, O Lord, is truth. The Bible, the Scriptures, they will give you information so that you can understand the Word of God. They're not the Word of God. You got to be careful how you say things. You can't say it's in the Word of God and then use this to then discredit somebody or tear somebody down. And you're twisting the Scripture just because it's literally written. This bears witness and it's inspired by God. 66 books. I mean, that should be your first telltale sign that it was put together by the Holy Catholic Church. The system decided what you were going to read. But God still, even though they were behind it all, God's still in charge, and God still makes sure that the truth, the Word, the Spirit of the living God, your Word, O Lord, is truth. The truth of God is revealed. And what's being revealed to me today to share with all of you is that we're free. We feel like slaves, but we're free. We gotta believe that. We gotta know that. We gotta trust God more. So they're like, where's the water? They quarreled with Moses. Give us water to drink. Moses replied, why do you quarrel with me? Why don't you put the Lord to the test? Like, why are you coming to me to get a word from God? Why are you coming from me to get your encouragement? Why don't you ask God yourself? That's what he's basically saying, spiritually speaking. It's like, you want answers? I get a lot of emails. Tell me why I'm going through this. Tell me, what I need to do. And I'm like, why are you asking me? I get this a lot too. What do you think of this guy? What do you think of this gal? And I said, what does God tell you? Trust your intuition. Go to God and ask for the truth. Don't ask me. I'm a man. Let God be true and every man be a liar. I'm here to inspire you and encourage you to get to God. I may be a witness, and we're supposed to be witnesses of God, but that doesn't mean that you can't talk to God yourself. This is the thing. You need to pray. You need to come to the truth. But the people They were thirsty because they weren't doing it. So they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt? To make us and our children livestock and our livestock to die of thirst." So Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I going to do with these people, these stiff-necked people? They're almost ready to stone me. Or the person that sets them free, they're almost ready to kill me. Lord, what am I supposed to do?" Lord answered Moses, "Go out in front of the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel. Take in your hand the staff." Okay, what does God put in your hand? What do you have? "I got nothing, Lord. I got a staff." He had like a couple of, maybe he had a small little flock. "What do you got?" "I got a YouTube channel." "What do you got?" "Take what you have, throw it down." You think the snakes of Egypt are scary? Right? You watch what the Lord can do when you are ready to throw down what God gave you so that the world can see the glory of God revealed. You wait and see. So he took his staff that you struck the Nile with. "I'll stand there before you, before the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock. Water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders and in Israel, and he called the place Massah and Meribeth, which means temptation and complaint. Temptation and complaint. Isn't that interesting? Because the Israelites quarreled so much because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" "Jacob, you keep saying God's this, God's that, but look at the world. Look at the world. My eggs are costing me so much money." I know. I'm stressed out about these things too, even though I know I need more faith. Testing. We're being testing, and people are complaining. So what does God do? He goes before his servants, and Moses strikes the rock, kind of forces it out of the rock. We know that the rock, Chris Rock, got struck too. We know that the rock got struck too. Remember when Kevin Hart hit him with the unleavened bread, and he spit out the water? Remember that viral video going around where you hold the water in and they try to they heat you with the tortilla? Unleavened bread. God is speaking in everything. So he strikes the rock. He does this, and as he's done it, what happens? The Amalekites came, and they attack the Israelites at Rephidim. This is the place of their waiting. So the enemies come, you're waiting, you're murmuring, you're complaining, you're asking, "Is God among us?" And what happens? You're going to get attacked now. This isn't good. This isn't good. Moses says to Joshua, "Choose some of the men, go to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I'll stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. Moses, Aaron, and Herr. Moses, Aaron, and Herr. Isn't that amazing? Moses, Aaron, and Herr went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held his hands high, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, what do you do when you're raising your hands up high, people? You're praising God. When you're praising God, your enemies cannot hurt you. Raise your hands. But you know what? Sometimes, with everybody complaining and murmuring and you being attacked, and you're looking at your YouTube channel and you're like, "I don't get it. I don't get it." It's hard to keep your hands up, so you need people to help. So these people are going to help. They're going to hold your hands up so you have some hope. Herr is going to hold up this investigation. Things are going to be revealed. People are going to be brought to justice. And a new day is coming. Trump said 2024 is going to be monstrous. Monstrous. That was the word he used. Like a beast. Now remember, it's the wicked that really need to worry. It's the people that have no connection to God that really need to worry. That's why I've been telling everybody from day one, I'm like, just get your house in order. Get it together. Love, forgive, be compassionate. Did you see Joe Rogan? I just shared a clip about Joe Rogan. He was with Brett, and he was talking how they were so hateful towards people that, like I didn't do what everybody was saying you had to do. I didn't do it. I just didn't feel right about it. I got mocked. I got attacked, everything else. And then you got like my house, like my wife did in the very early stages because she was a teacher in New York and everybody was pressuring her and she did it on her own without me even knowing because she knew I was so against it. And then I used this. I said, okay, Lord, you did this. I said, okay, let me use this to show people. Don't let a divided house divide a house, right? Don't let a divided house divide a house even further. In other words, don't let this being a dividing force. I was one of the first people to say, like if your spouse has don't let it define your relationship. People make choices. Danielle's very unhappy that she did what she did. She didn't know any better. She did it like right away in the beginning in New York. It's very hard here. Very hard here. Cuomo, with the horrible, monstrous things he did. You saw a picture of my thumbnail where I said this tweet aged well, where I asked and I prayed and I said, God, take him from power. And then boom, he was gone. That's what's going to happen in 2023. I say this because I know you hear it. And as evidence from the channel, it's a seed I'm planting in you. And if your faith will make it so, we need to have corrupt people brought to justice. They're going to be brought to justice. I know. I even have a problem sometimes thinking it's going to happen. But I know that 2023, this is going to be the year. You'll see. Because God does these things. Has to happen before the final blow in 2024. So they attacked Israel. So Joshua fought the Amalekites Moses had ordered. Moses, Aaron, and Herr went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. As long as you're praising God, you're winning. The instant you lower them, you're going to start to lose. All right? No one wants to fight. No one likes a battle. But you better keep those hands raised. Moses' hands grew tired. They took a stone and put it under him. He sat on it. Aaron and Herr held up his hands, one on one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. Will you hold up my hands by sharing a video? Will you hold up my hands by liking the video? If you've been here long enough, will you help me to keep my hands held up? Because things are hard for everybody. Hard for me, especially when you got like all these big organizations that for years, you should be able to find me on Google. You could find me anywhere, any other. You should be able to find me easy. Easy. But yet, why? My videos don't go against any policies. They're loving, they're compassionate. Because the Spirit of the living God says you are free. And free people aren't being consumed or consuming anymore. And the system needs people that are slaves. So maybe that's the reason. Help my hands. Help me praise God by sharing things around and hitting the like, leaving a comment. The comment section is now the big thing, Like, if you can, I love reading the comments. I love what people say. I really do. Whether you have an idea of what's coming, whether you have an idea about the show, or whether you just want to say, Jacob, I've been watching you a long time. I'm going to hold your hands up, I appreciate it because I'm trying to hold all yours, right? We do it for each other. I got to keep you motivated. I got to keep you encouraged. I got to keep you happy because God is good. And we're in the most exciting time to be alive. This is the most exciting time to be alive. So his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame Joshua. That would be a better translation of Yahshua, by the way. So Joshua overcame the Amalekites with the sword, the word, words. Sword, take the yes off of the beginning, put it on the end. Words. Christ is going to overcome your enemies with words. So long as you're holding your hands up and you're praising God, right? That's what they were doing. Moses wasn't fighting. Aaron wasn't fighting. Herr wasn't fighting. I'm not fighting. You're not fighting. But are you raising your hands? Are you praising God? so that Yahshua wins the fight with the sword. Christ's tongue is a double-edged sword. It's a fiery sword. This is the day we're in. The battle is going to be won. The battle's going to be won. Then the Lord said to Moses, write this on a scroll as something to be remembered and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the name of Amalek. Amalek. I don't know how to pronounce it. The Amalekite king, Amalek. I got it. I'm going to blot out his name. See, I don't even know how to pronounce it. That's how good God did a good job. From under heaven, Moses then built an altar and called, the Lord is my banner. He said, because his hands were lifted up against the throne of the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation to generation to generation. You think the enemies of God are going to win? Just hold your hands up high, people. Hold your hands up high. All right, let me come on over here to the live chat. Let me say goodbye to everybody. And thank you, Willow Dreams. You're amazing, too, for your super chat. I appreciate it. We don't have that many people watching today. You know why? Because it's a weird time. I got to be honest. Sometimes I don't make the best. Here, let's take a look at Robert Herr while I transition over here. That's him. He's going to be holding up his hands and holding up this investigation. Just find it interesting. The question is, who's going to be holding up their hands? And who's going to be holding up mine? Will you please? Will you please help by sharing and liking and stuff? Tell people about the channel. Hey, get yourself a, if you want to support the channel, best way to do it. I mean, this is a really great hoodie. Look at this. You can even pretend that you're a Jedi. I'm a Jedi. And I am buckled up. You know, all that stuff, all the merch is in the description of the video below. You get, this is my life's work, The Calling, my novel. Wrote about 2022 in here and about the day that we're in. It's on Amazon. Please leave me a review if you've loved the show. I've got like almost 1,000 reviews just for paperback. I've got over thousands of reviews from, England and all. I mean, like, you put them together, you got thousands of reviews, 5 stars. It's a good book. It's a really great novel. The audiobook, by the way, I got taken. I spent the money for the audio guy and on the first session, then he kept canceling on me. Then he wouldn't get back to me. Then I finally got in touch with him because I had to block my number, and then he sent me the audio files. Can't even use them. So I got taken. So the audiobook's probably not going to happen. So it is what it is. Maybe people just need to read. Maybe they need to read. So if you can, get yourself a copy of The Calling. I love you all. I know that this is a stressful time to be alive. I know that you're all, but you're doing great. I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of all of you. I have so much interaction with all you behind the scenes, whether you email me or you DM me on Twitter or whatever. It's really rewarding and refreshing to see where people have been and where they are now. So I love you. And I guess I will talk to you soon. The reason why I came on today at this hour is because, the Dan gets home. She's home now. Right? And I want to spend time with her. I want to spend time with her tonight because she's at work all day. So I work all day, and it's like, that's why I'm going to try to start doing these in the mornings again. It's just there's so much stuff going on. It's just very difficult. Ethan, once again, sick. How about them apples, right? He had the virus of the crown, then he got the flu, and now he had the RSV, the tridemic, and he's beat it all. And I told him, because he's better today. But we kept him home anyway because you know what? He still was stuffy. And it's like, I don't want you to go to school and get anybody else sick if you just God forbid, you're still a little sick. But it's hard to do this when you're taking care of a sick child and everything else. So but it's a beautiful thing because I told him, I go, now you're impervious. God is 100% just supercharge your immune system. You beat all the terrible stuff and for whatever else is to come, which we know, the Kraken, right? We talked about that. And watch my 2023 show if you want to be blown away about how I talked about the Kraken early on. I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.